Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, starting with the DXY on the daily. Nothing's really changed on the daily. We're looking for that A, B, C, possibly can come down to that 100 fib. Technically, it can end at any time. We've broken the low of this ending point of wave A. On the H4, we can, like I mentioned last week, we can get a bear hidden in here, and we are getting a bear hidden in here. So we get that WXY, X2, and a Z down. The H1, you'd really need to wait for a correction in here. See how deep it gets, and you may be able to scalp a C up, and then look for the sell for the wave Z. That's how I'd be playing it. I'd be waiting for some sort of a correction in here, because more than likely we'll get another one down in that wave Z at this stage. AU on the daily. This is becoming more complicated. I'm looking for that A, B, C. We're getting some sort of a flat in here. So I'm sort of looking at this as a flat, an A, B, get a C down in here, and then I'd be looking for this C up, this A, B, C, up to the 100 fib. First targeting that 100 fib. For the sell, there's really not much to sell. I'd be more interested in the buy. We may get some sort of an A, B, C in here as a flat, and then we get an A, B, C. If you got the buy set up, then you could look for that buy. EU on the daily. So we're looking for that 100 fib, looking for that A, B, C up to that 100 fib, or up to this trend line. On the H4, nothing's changed since last week. We're waiting for an X2. Get that WXY, looking for that X2, and then a Z up. We may be starting to get bullish hidden here. Bullish hidden divergence. Yep, we are starting to get that bullish hidden divergence. So on the H1, I'd be looking for buys. We may get some sort of a correction in here, and then you get an A, B, C, and then any bullish setup, I'd be looking for that wave Z up. GU on the daily. This one's bounced off that trend line. We got that A, B, C. We're getting a bounce off that trend line. We do have all that bearish divergence, so it can end at any time. I'm sort of looking at an internal WXY, X2, and a Z up to that 100 fib. It's starting to run out of steam. We got a bull hidden in here, so we've got some sort of WXY, X2, and we'll be looking for that wave Z up. It's still not giving us a bullish setup yet. Last week, I believe we were looking for this retracement back to the 38.2 or even the 50 fib. Now it looks like it has come into the territory of, oh no, it hasn't quite come into the territory of X1 here. So it is still valid to trade. Maybe getting some sort of a bullish setup. No, we're not really getting much of a bullish setup yet, but I'd be looking for any bullish setup for another one up. We're getting all this bullish divergence on the M15, so if you sort of got some sort of a B, C in here, little flat, you could look for a buy. NU on the daily. This one's becoming more complex as well. I'm looking for that A, B, C up to that 100 pip. But again, you know, we've got some sort of internal W, X, Y, get an X2 and a Z up. It may be very choppy. It may be an ending diagonal in here. Looking at the H4, nothing's changed since last week. We're looking for W, X, Y, X2 and a possible Z up. Again, we're starting to get that bull hidden in here. So you have to be careful with the sell. And it's really, when we look at the H1, you really can't buy it either. It's not going to give a buy setup. If you got an A, you're looking at this as a B, and you got a C up here, and then some sort of a bearish setup, you could look for the C down, and then you'll have to be careful. Yeah, it's not looking real good at the moment. As you can see, this wave here has come into the territory of X2. So if we do get that Z up, it'll be an ending diagonal. It's the only way we can look at it. For the, yeah. So I'd be leaving it alone at this stage. GY. We're looking at that WXY, extended wave Y, X2, and then a Z up. Internally here, we got that WXY. This may not be over yet, by the look of it. But then you'd be waiting for the X2, and then you could trade that Z up. H4, this is looking rather corrective. We have that bull hidden, like I mentioned last week. Got that little correction in here to trade that up. I wouldn't be surprised if that does go up and break that top. Then we'll start to get the bearish divergence, so you'll have to be very careful. If you got in this here, you definitely want to be a break even at the break of that top. Yeah, you really need to go down to the lower time frame. I'll just quickly go down to the M15. So for the buy, I'd be looking at some sort of an A, a B, and a C as a running or expanding flat, or maybe even just a regular flat. And then you could look for another one up. Again, you're trading at tops, so you'll have to be careful. UY on the daily. So I'm looking at that A, B, C up. That looks like it's complete, and then we get an A, B, C. There is a scenario where this does go up and break the top, which I really haven't gone into on YouTube. This looks complete now. It didn't quite get down to the 100 fib here, but that's fine. We got an A, B, C, and there we get an A, B, C. It was quite difficult to get on this down the bottom here. If I go down to the H1, it was a rather an ugly looking correction here. Sort of got a flat in here for a WXY. So you'd be waiting for an X2, and then you could look for that Z up, and it may take off on you for that daily. UCAD on the daily. This is getting very complex as well. Been looking for a correction similar size to X1 over here in X2. That time factor is now complete. So I'm looking for a WXY, X2, and a Z up. So any buy setup I get, I'm looking for the buys. There was a buy on Friday that I got in on the H4. Like, we got all the bullish divergence. So we're only looking for buys. It is getting quite complex, so it's not had a nice impulse up here, but never got to that 100 fib again. Went down, broke the low. We're getting even more bullish divergence. So for the buy, there was a buy, like I said, on Friday. I took this that break even at the moment, but I'm sort of only expecting some sort of an A, B, C. It doesn't look like a reversal. Very long correction in here. There was a little buy flag in here to buy. If you're not in that, it's going to be hard to get in, because it does look like, to me, we've just got an A, a B, and a C. So you will have to be careful. It may take off, but yeah, if you're not in this one, you'd have to go down onto the lower time frames and see what sort of correction you're getting in here. You may get a little correction and a buy set up to jump on it. The Swissy on the daily. So this still has a little bit of room down, but it can end at any time. We're looking at that A, B, C, possibly down to that 100 fib. We are getting all that bullish divergence. On the H4, there is still a chance that we get a Z down in here, like a W, X, Y, X2, and a Z down. H1, it is giving a bullish setup. I got in this one as well, down here on the lower time frames, but starting to get a bullish setup in here. I'd be waiting to see how far and deep this goes, and then looking for like an A, B, C up to that 38.2. And then you'll have to be careful, because it may give you a bearish setup to give you that wave Z down on the H4. EG on the daily. Again, looking at that A, B, C in here for the flat, and then we get that A, B, C. Still hasn't got down to that 100 fib, and it's looking more bullish now. We're getting this nice impulse up in here. I think last week I said we were only looking for buys. We got all this bullish divergence. Now you'd be waiting for a correction in here, and then look for the buy. On the H1, you'd just be waiting for the correction to be over, and then looking for a buy. There is no real buy set up on it at the moment, but yeah, if you've got a buy set up, you could look for a buy. WTI on the daily. Just looking at that A, B, C in here. Then we got that impulse up A, B, C. It's up to that 100 fib already. So, it did have a little bit of resistance at that 100 fib. So we're looking for that A, B, C. Bounced off the 100 fib. It looks like we're getting some sort of a flat in here, an A, B. If you got the C down and then a bullish setup, you could look for a buy. It did break this top. This top here has been broken over here. So yeah, I'd be looking for an A, B, C. If you got that C down and then any bullish setup, you could look for a buy. Gold on the daily. It's becoming very complex as well. I haven't changed my count. I'm just looking at that A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C, A, B, C as a larger correction before we get the larger A, B, C, possibly up to that 123.6 on the weekly target, and even the 161.8. H4. There was that nice correction in here to buy. Let's come back and hit me stop. So if you got in that, more than likely you're out of that trade. I dare say we'll get a bull hidden in here, though. I'll be looking at some sort of a WXY X2, and I'd be looking for a Z up. I dare say we'll get a bull hidden in here, and you may get a buy set up to buy that wave Z. At this stage, you really can't sell it. You can see on the H1 here, we have a bull hidden as well. It's not valid to trade, but you know, it still can give another one up before you get that larger correction for the wave Z up. So, yeah. Silver, we got that WXY X2 and the Z up. We lost that bearish divergence, so I'm just looking for a correction in here and then another higher high. On the H4, we can only buy this. Looking at that WXY, wait for your X2 and then a Z up. I dare say we'll get a bull hidden on this one as well. As soon as we get the bull hidden and it's confirmed, then you can start to look for that bullish setup for the wave Z. Bitcoin on the daily. We're looking at that A, B, C, and we get that extended WXY X2 Z extended wave up in here. This is already technically complete. This wave Z has broken the ending point of wave Y. It still is looking rather bullish up here. It is quite risky to buy. You know, we've already broken that top and we're getting bearish divergence, so it can end at any time. Like I mentioned last week, Bitcoin you have to be extremely patient with. You know, like I said last week, this can go on for quite some time before it goes. So yeah, there was the trade that you wanted to be in for the buy was down in here quite a while on the weekly outlook. We were looking at this buy in here for that buy. Now you're going to have to be very patient and see what sort of structure we get in here before you look for the buys. It's quite difficult because it already has broken the top. Gives a correction, comes up, just breaks the top, just breaks the top, just breaks the top. You know, it's more bearish now. But yeah, there's really can't really sell it either. There's no real trades on it. It's in a consolidation up the top here, without giving a very nice impulse. So yeah, I'd be staying out of it for a little while until we can identify a nice structure on it to trade. S&P, I changed my count, but this was an A, B, C. I've changed it into a WXY X2 and we get that Z up. We've gone past that 100 fib now, the first target. So like I've been mentioning, the second target is at 161.8. We may get up to there. H4, we're starting to get all that bearish divergence. Starting to get that bearish divergence in here. I said a few weeks ago, I was looking at an A, B, C in here as a flat, and then you get an A, B, C. Well, that's playing out. You have to be very careful now because we've got that bullish, bearish divergence. So, you know, it's too late to buy. There was actually a sell on this on Friday. H1, we got that bearish divergence. It wasn't a very nice impulse down, so I suspect it's just an A, B, C, and then it may go up for the bull hidden and break the top again. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not at break even on this one yet. I did get into a sell on this. I'm not at break even, but just trying the sells. But I'm sort of only looking at an A, B, C. It possibly can fall over. That's what I'm hoping for because I'm in the sell. But more than likely, it's just an A, B, C, and we get another one up, giving us even more bearish divergence. AU 200 on the daily. This one's very slow. We got that A, B was looking nice with this C up to the 100 fib, but then we got this large correction in here. I'm still looking for upside, but it's become more complex. This been extremely choppy. Last week we were looking at this A, B, C in here, so we're looking for bullish setup. Sort of looking for a correction and then possibly another one up. We are getting a correction in here, a possible running flat. Sort of got an A, B, C in here, and then we're looking at that A, B, C. It's starting to give us a bullish setup in here, so you could look to trade this like you get an A, some sort of a B, get a C down in here. You'd have to go right down onto the lower time frames, look for your trade. If this in here looks corrective and you get a buy set up, well, you could definitely look for the buy. The FTSE, and this is playing out pretty much how we're looking at it. We're looking at that A, B, and get that C up. Once we get this C up, we'll really have to see how far this goes and what happens here. I suspect it's just an A, B, C. This is very deep, this correction in here to this impulse. So we may just get an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C, some sort of a larger correction, and it sort of can turn into a lot of different things. At this stage, like we mentioned last week, we're only looking for buys for that C up. On the H4, I would be waiting for your correction in here. And then if you've got some sort of a bullish setup, you could look for the buy for the A, B, C. The DAX on the daily, this just does not want to fall over. We're looking at that A, B, C as that expanding flat, and then we get an A, B, C as the larger correction before, more than likely, we get more upside. But at this stage, we're looking for downside. We're looking for this wave C down in here. And like I've been mentioning for quite a while on this, I wouldn't be buying this. It's way too risky for me to even attempt to buy this. We're getting all that bearish divergence. So extremely risky to buy. You're just scalping if you're buying. We sort of got this A, B, C in here. It is really only a buy. You can really only buy this at this stage just to break that top, and it's only a scalp if you're buying it. We got this nice impulse up in here. We're getting some sort of a correction. I'd be waiting for some sort of a correction in here and then looking for a buy setup. It's very messy, this correction. I doubt if it's over. We may get another one up in here for some sort of an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C as some sort of a flat. I'll be waiting for this C down, and then again going down to the lower time frames, looking for your trade for the buy. There is no sell on this at the moment. You could only really sell under that low. You'd have to wait for an impulse down correction, and then you could look for a sell if you're looking for the sell. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.